Hey everybody, it's Virginia, the Buckeye Gamer here, back with another Yakuza video. So in this video, we're actually going to talk about where I recommend is the best starting point if you want to get into this series. So if in my last video, if I said something that makes you want to get into this series, consider this my tips of where you can start. So we're going to start off probably with the most obvious, and I talked about this a little bit in my video, last video. But if you want my honest opinion, start with Yakuza 0. Now this acts as a prequel to the series because these are events that take place before the Yakuza 1 or Kiwami 1, which again, as I mentioned last video, is a remake of the original PS2 game. So I definitely recommend starting here because it does give you a nice background of Kiryu and a couple different protagonists, other people that you're gonna, know more about as the games go on, as you progress through the series. But the story in this is fantastic, guys. Like, there were parts of this that had me crying, but I just loved it so much. And this is actually one of my top 10 favorite games of all time. I actually did a top 10 video a few months back, and this was on there. So if that tells you just how good this game is or how good I feel it is, just take it as you will. But if you do want to get into Yakuza, this is where I do suggest you start. Now, again, I could end the video here, but that would be less than 2 minutes. But there are other options, if for some reason, if this game's just a little out of your league price-wise, which it's gone down in price considerably, or if you just can't find it. Again, there are other options that you could try. Now, the other option would be Yakuza Kiwami. Now, again, this is technically the beginning of the Yakuza series. Obviously, this is completely redone, remade for the ground up for the PS4. There are some graphical hiccups here and there, but again, I can't really think of much negative to say about that. But like in Yakuza 0, the story is fantastic. We see Kiryu develop quite a bit between the events of Yakuza 0 and then Yakuza 1. And there's, again, so much to do in this game. So I'll give you kind of a synopsis of the story. So how Kiwami starts is Kiryu is serving time in prison. I believe, because I'm playing through 0 right now, but I believe it's for a murder. I could be wrong. If I am, I'll make some annotations down in the comment section. But he is serving time in prison, and when he gets out, there's a incident within the Tojo clan where 10 billion yen come up missing. And, keep a long story short, Kiryu is wrapped up in that to try to get things figured out. And it's just one thing culminates after another. And we end up with quite a shocking ending to this story. So I don't want to divulge any more. If you guys want to play this, definitely, again, if you don't have access to 0, Kiwami is your next best bet. Okay, so if you made up your mind and you wanted to start with these two games, obviously I recommend going in numerical order. So you do 0, then Kiwami, then you have Kiwami 2, and then Yakuza 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth. Now, what if you want to branch off a little bit differently? Well, we do have a couple of options for that. So if you really want to go back, you could always do the original Yakuza on PS2. Now, this is actually my second copy of this game. I do have a copy that is sealed, and I do plan to leave it that way. I managed to buy this used because I do want to try to play it myself. Now, admittedly, I've never, at least at the time of the recording this video, I have never played the original Yakuza or Yakuza 2 on PS2. The couple issues with this one, though. There is English voice acting. You don't have the option to change it, which that would not have been bad, but oh my gosh, the voice acting in here is horrendous, guys. I'm sorry. There are some talented actors in here. I will give them that, but it just feels like things are just all over the place. And, again, like what I've watched of it, because I've watched a lot of YouTube videos of this game, It is a little bit clunky with the controls, but you know, again, this is PS2 era, and clunky controls, while not as prominent on, like they were on the original PlayStation, there were some clunky games on PS2. So it's just more of a matter of the era that these were made in. But but yeah, and I mean, I don't think it's a bad game now. Again, I've never played it for myself, but again, what I've seen of it, it doesn't seem like it's that bad of a game. So I'll definitely have to give this a try at some point. And same for Yakuza 2. Just that, you know, and the graphics obviously are going to look different. But again, that's just the hardware and the time that this was made. So definitely, if you really want to go back, you can give this one a try. Oh, excuse me. Had a whole back yawn there. And this is still, again, at the time of recording this video, this game is still pretty cheap. So you do have that going for you too. All right, so that kind of completes the Kiryu side of the Yakuza franchise. So, well, if you want to branch off and start with Yakuza Like a Dragon, you can. So Yakuza Like a Dragon starts a whole new saga within the Yakuza series. So your protagonist is this dude here. This is Ichiban Kasuga. And if I had to give my honest opinion, he and Kiryu are polar opposites. You know, Ichiban he's very emotional. Like, he lets his emotions show. Like Kiryu, sometimes his emotions could be pretty flat. Not saying that's a bad thing. You know, it works in that context that he's in. But for Ichiban, like, he's more outspoken, he's more outgoing, and, you know, you see him smile and cry, and just, you feel he has just all the emotions throughout this game. And it takes place in a different setting. Now, in most of the Yakuza games, there's a handful of cities that you explore. This one is completely different. Now, you do go, the big city in Yakuza, the one that most people know, is Kamurocho. This one, however, you take place in a city called Inchijo, if I'm saying that correctly, but it's in Yokohama, which is a prefecture in Japan, actual prefecture. But this one is more of a turn-based RPG rather than the beat-em-up style that the Kiryu games are in. Now, Ichiban is actually a big fan of Dragon Quest, and there is a lot of Dragon Quest references in here. So if you're a Dragon Quest fan, I kind of am. You know, again, it's hit or miss for me. I really enjoy Dragon Quest 11. That's probably my favorite up to this point. But if you love Dragon Quest, there's a lot of RPG references in here. There's actually a Pokemon reference in here that's absolutely hilarious. But I'm not going to spoil that, so you guys will just have to look that up. But I think this one with the sub-stories, I think this has some of the funniest sub-stories I have ever seen in any of the Yakuza games. But again, like, the story here, it's a little slow in the beginning, and that's where it turns a lot of people off. Now, I mean, it's a good story throughout. Like, I enjoyed myself personally throughout this. But it really picks up in the second half of the game. So if you're really looking for a lot of suspense, just make it through to the second half and you'll see what I mean. One of the downsides to this game, though, is it is pretty grind heavy. You know, as far as leveling up and getting weapons, you're going to need a lot of money in this game. You know, like, there's weapons that you can upgrade, shops that you can upgrade and everything, but it takes a ton of money. So just keep that in mind. You're going to need a lot of time with this game. Like, I put probably about 100 hours into here, and I'm not finished with it yet. Now, I did beat the core game. You know, that can get pretty difficult, but I did beat the core game. But there's still quite a few things that I have left to do. So I'm trying to go for platinum on this, so we'll see if I can do that. But this game is fantastic. There are spoilers for the Kiryu Yakuza games in here. Now, again, that's more so towards the end of the game. But there are a lot of spoilers in here and cameos that if you did not play the other Yakuza games, you're not going to know what these mean. So you can, again, start here if you like. but there's a lot of things in here that you're not going to understand. You know, like I said, along with a lot of the characters and other things that you're not going to understand unless you've played the other games first. So again, if you start here, just keep that stuff in mind. You know, it's a great game to start with, especially if you like turn-based RPGs. This is a good game to get into. Now, there's a couple side games here. Now, these do take place in the same universe as Yakuza, but you're not playing as a Yakuza, and that's the Judgment game. So you have Judgment, this is the first one, and then Lost Judgment, which is the sequel. Now, you can also start here. Now, this doesn't really have any spoilers for the other games, so this is just, again, it takes place more so in the universe, but that's really the only thing that it shares with it. Now, again, you do have Yakuza in here. One of this guy's partners is a Yakuza as well, so yeah, it's Detective Yagami, I almost forgot his name, does have a Yakuza partner, so, or former Yakuza. But Detective Yagami, as I said, he is a detective. You know, kind of has like a background for an attorney too. And that's how you go about this game. So you're trying to solve different cases, you know, where they all, of course, tie together. Like the flow is kind of like the Yakuza games that came before. And it's really, these games are so good, guys. Like Lost Judgment, I fell in love with this game. Like I could not put it down. I beat this game kind of quickly because I just put so many hours in a day in it. But these games are fantastic. And again, you don't have to have played any of the other games to play these. So you don't have to, again, worry about any spoilers. You can jump right in here if you'd like. But anyway, all right, guys. So that is my video telling you where you could start, or where I think you should start with the Yakuza series. So I hope it was informative to all of you. You kind of have an idea, again, if you really want to get into the series, of where you can start and how you can get the most enjoyment out of it. So that's my whole, what I like to do here is I like to be informative of you guys and share my thoughts on things. So maybe there will be times where we have to agree to disagree, and that's okay. You know, we're all human. We have different opinions. But anyway, getting off track here. So, all right, I'm going to end the video here, guys. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and leave a like and comment down below, and subscribe if you wish. Always remember, Jesus is real. He loves you. I love you guys too. I'll see you next time.